Hi, this is your host, Chantele Francis. I'd like to welcome you to our call with today's guest, Amethyst Wyldfyre. Amethyst, the empowered messenger master mentor, is an internationally known speaker, spiritual leader, and transformation artist. She is passionate about serving visionary leaders and conscious entrepreneurs who want to leap fearlessly into their highest level of service to the planet and who want to profit handsomely for following their spiritual path. Amethyst believes that when people everywhere, especially women, feel safe speaking their truth, feel powerful asking for money, and prepared internally to be seen and heard, then the world will naturally change for the better. Prior to her journey into the realm of personal and professional empowerment, Amethyst was active in real estate development and community management consulting and worked as a consultant with U.S. Agency for International Development, the World Bank, the Department of Housing and Urban Development, and several Fortune 500 builder developers. Today, you will discover what it means to be called to being a messenger, the greatest challenges encountered as a result of the calling, including why people are more afraid of public speaking than death, some of the great things that can happen when you are able to feel safe speaking and sharing your message. You can actually serve your people and make some money. 3 simple steps you can use right away to begin to shift your energy from scared to sacred, and the most powerful message that a messenger can send to the universe when they are stuck. Amethyst, thank you so much for joining us today, and welcome to the call.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Chantele. I'm excited to be here, and I can't wait to get started and to serve your people. Just really grateful for this opportunity. Thank you.
Well, I'm excited too. So let's just get right to it. Can you maybe take 2 or 3 minutes and share what you believe was the major turning points in your life that allowed you to manifest your current level of success?
We'll start with just giving you a little bit of background about me. We definitely did a lot of that in the introduction, so thank you so much for that. What I want to say, though, to help people to really get a connection to what I'm here to do and how I'm here to serve is I actually have a very grounded and very practical background. I spent 20 years in the real estate industry, and at the end of that career, I was actually even the national chairperson for my trade association. I was serving in that role, and I was also working with U.S. Agency for International Development and several of those other things that you mentioned. And right at that kind of peak of my early career, I had a spiritual awakening. And that spiritual awakening really shifted my perception about the world and about my own place in it and about how I was really here to serve. And I spent many years actually after my spiritual awakening really kind of wandering around, wondering, all right, what am I supposed to do with myself and my life that is going to really serve the world in a bigger way and also bring together all of the skills as well as the new awarenesses that I had about who I was as a multidimensional being into one space that would be of highest service to the planet. So I did a lot of wandering, and I finally got to a place where I was able to coalesce everything and start serving entrepreneurs. And that's really who I'm here to serve for the most part right now. If anybody who could answer the question, if I ask the question, are you a messenger? Who could answer that question in the affirmative? Who could say, yes, I'm here with a message to bring to the world. And a lot of the people that I'm serving are entrepreneurs, conscious entrepreneurs, heart-centered people who have something really important to share with the world, and they're visionaries, and they aren't quite exactly sure how to get that vision onto the ground. And a lot of times they're here to speak out that message and that vision, and because they have a fear of speaking, they get stuck. They can't move forward. And I think that this work is not just for entrepreneurs. It's also really being able to feel safe speaking your truth in any situation is going to be highly valuable. I do have a lot of people that I work with that are entrepreneurs that also find when they feel safe speaking, either publicly or privately, that many, many areas of their life just shift for the better. And for me, that was part of my journey when I was able to finally, take a nice deep breath and speak my truth fearlessly. It made a huge shift in my life and made a huge difference. And it allowed me to create the life of my dreams. It allowed me to create a multi-six-figure business that I serve people around the world in my pajamas or today it was really nice out, so I was in my bikini in the backyard. So, yeah.
Awesome. I'm really excited about our call. You kind of spoken a little bit about the term messenger, but could you also explain what it means to be called?
Sure. So when you are called to be a messenger or you're called to something, this is the way I look at it. And this is the way it has worked for me, and it's also worked for my clients. I've seen it in my clients, and I've seen it in colleagues as well. The calling is really something that stirs from your soul. And for me, the way it worked was I was in this business, I was in this career in real estate, and I was at a place in my life where it was like, is this all there is? I did not feel like I was really living. I was just getting up in the morning, going to work, doing the thing. There was no satisfaction. There was no joy. There was no reward for doing the work that I was doing. It had come to a point where it was really, really stale. And then I had this spiritual awakening. And, you know, the calling, I think, is really your soul asking you to step into your next highest expression of who you are. That's one aspect of it. But I also believe that the calling is the prayers of the people who you are here to serve with the unique gift that you came to the earth to deliver. And so for some people, the gift that you're here to deliver is providing a platform for messengers. Like, for example, in this example right now, where we are working together, Chantele, you're here to provide a platform for this message to get out to serve the audience that you have created, right? And that's what you're here to do. And you're here to make those connections for people. Some people are here to make connections. Some people are here to serve in other ways. Some people are here to help people get healthier. Some people are here to help people improve their awareness of their own sexuality. Some people are here to help people to get into right relationship with money. There's all kinds of ways that we are here to serve. So the calling is really the people who are praying and who are struggling with a particular problem that you may be uniquely qualified and uniquely gifted to serve the solution to that problem to those people. So I think that's part of the calling as well.
And once, I guess, someone steps in and answers the call and they step into this role of messenger, are there maybe some challenges that they're going to be facing? Or like, how do they move from actually answering the call and actually serving as a messenger?
Well, that's a great question. And the truth is that whenever we do answer the call, it is bound to bring up things in ourselves that are resistance, that are maybe wounds from our childhood, that are challenges. It's going to bring up a lot of challenges. So what I've seen for many people, especially when they're called to be a messenger, there is this larger kind of archetypal messenger that we have really lived with for probably more than 2,000 years. And this archetypal messenger is the messenger who comes with this big, beautiful message of love and ends up being persecuted, prosecuted, or executed for it, right? So just stepping into the space where you're willing to say you're a messenger is going to trigger that archetypal awareness of the history of messengers. So it will bring up the fear. It will bring up that part of you that might be scared to step out and say, hey, I'm really here with this message and it's something important that I think needs to be shared, because there's been a history of, we even have a little saying, don't shoot the messenger, right? So part of the work is really to help the messengers that are here today to bring these messages out, to help them to overcome that and really step into a place where they feel empowered as messengers, where the message itself is so clear and so heartfelt, and they feel so strong in their own grounding in that message that they're going to share that message and they're going to be fearless about it. They're going to be courageous about it. So for a lot of people, what I see is this fear of being a messenger can be archetypal. It can also be that you have had messaging that you've received in your growing up, whether it's as a child or through the educational systems or through the society and culture that says you need to be quiet and you can't speak up and you can't express yourself. So that's another challenge where people have been suppressed through most of their life, and then all of a sudden they have this calling to share, and it's like there's an internal battle that's going on. Make sense?
It totally makes sense.
Say the third thing that happens is you can get so excited about being a messenger that you can be all over the place. You can be scattered in a million different directions. So the three top challenges I see is that you don't feel grounded and safe to be able to be a messenger. Your energy is all over the place and you're so excited that you can't take people and focus them in a specific direction because you're in too many different directions because the excitement of bringing the message through is so powerful. Or you're holding it in and you're like literally people who are called to be messengers who have had a lifetime of keeping it in. It's almost like they're ready to explode.
Now, are these the three secret steps that will help a messenger shift? Like once we recognize these and move forward from that, or is that something different?
Well, those are the three major challenges, and I do have three secret steps that I teach to help people to get those challenges overcome. So the three secret steps that I teach in a much deeper way, and I can only give you so much on today's call. You know, I can educate you and I can share with you kind of the big picture of how this all works. But it is what I go into much deeper and into something that we do have to offer a little bit later on down the road. So we'll talk a little bit today about the three steps, and they are, I use the term GBS, and a GBS is ground, bound, and sound. So those are the three main things that we need to do in order to be able to bring our energy into focus so that we can navigate the fear, we can get really clear, and we can make an impact in the world with our work and with our message. So one of the things that we really want to be able to do is to be able to stand in our power and to be grounded in our power and to be connected to the earth. Whenever we're having a conversation with somebody, whenever we are sharing our message with somebody, whether it's a one-on-one conversation with a potential client or whether it's a one-to-many conversation like I'm having right now with you and with the audience that's listening, we want to really be in our own power and standing in the truth as we know it and feeling completely at ease and at home in expressing ourselves. And one of the ways that I teach, one of many ways that I teach around getting grounded is spending time in nature, really being able to be out in nature and connecting with nature and allowing a relationship to be built between you and nature will be one of the most powerful things you can do to relieve yourself of fear and to really step into that place where you feel safe and you feel empowered and you feel clear enough to express yourself in a way that people can receive. One of the people that I worked with, I had a client who was already a six-figure client. She already had her own business and she was speaking on a regular basis and she had a big client list, but she wasn't making a connection in the way that she felt that she needed to make a connection. And part of our work together was around helping her to get grounded. And when we did that, a few things happened. A few really powerful things happened for her. First of all, within 90 days, she increased her revenues by 300%. So this has a really positive and practical result that can happen. When you're really grounded in your power and in your message and feeling safe speaking and expressing yourself, it's going to naturally attract people to you who want to work with you and who want to exchange money for the offer that you might be able to serve them with. And so she had some really tangible, practical results. Her business increased by 300%. Her revenues increased by 300%. But more importantly, what happened when she was able to feel grounded and safe and clear in her messaging was she was able to make a connection with the people that she was here to serve. And as a result of that connection, she had so much more joy in her business, and her clients had so much better results because they could identify themselves. So, for example, today we're having this conversation about feeling safe speaking. There might be people in the audience who say, oh my God, I need to feel safe speaking. I have this big message in me, and I so need to feel safe speaking, and I know that I don't. I was having a conversation earlier today with somebody, and it came up that she didn't really feel safe speaking, and she ended up enrolling to do some work with me. And she said, I feel like throwing up right now. I feel every time I think about speaking, I feel like throwing up. So, to be able to not have that feeling is just going to be so much more powerful for this person, to not have that feeling like they're going to throw up every time they are getting ready to go out and speak. It's very distracting to step into a place where you are wanting to communicate something of value to you and feel like you're going to be ill, just opening your mouth, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for getting grounded, one of my many, many things that I offer to people to do is to go out and spend time in nature and just really let yourself be healed and receive from nature and make that connection with the earth that will nourish you and nurture you and support you and allow you to feel safe in your body. Right?
Absolutely.
So the second piece is really getting your boundaries clear around owning your own power. And you really have to frame your relationship, whether it's with another person, whether it's with a group of people, whether it's in a business situation or in a personal situation. You really need to be able to frame your relationships with people in a way that allows you to be really clear on who you are and where you begin and end and where the rest of the world comes in. And for a lot of people who are called to be a messenger, for a lot of people who feel like they have something that they need to share with the world, for a lot of people who have challenges with speaking, what I find is that they have very kind of mushy boundaries. And when they have mushy boundaries, they aren't really clear on what their truth is. It's almost like they're picking up other people's truths and kind of trying to filter other people's truths through rather than finding their own clarity and finding their own truth. So couple things can happen if you don't have clear boundaries. On the one hand, you are absorbing, you're like a sponge, absorbing other people's truths and trying to express them through your filter rather than owning your own truth. The other thing that happens when you don't have clear boundaries, when you are not in your own personal integrity, people can come along and do what I say, pop your joy bubble. So I'll tell a little story about that as well. I had a colleague that was speaking at a live event. It was the first time that she was offering this particular talk. It was a warm audience, so everybody in the audience really loved her. And she's like a little bunny rabbit. She's just really sweet and not super confident on the stage, but her sweetness kind of overcame her lack of confidence. And when she came off the stage, she had a great presentation. Everybody was applauding. She had lots of positive feedback. And what happened, which happened right in front of my eyes, was as she was walking to the back of the room to share with the people who had gathered there who were interested in learning more about her work, as she was going to the back of the room, this other woman kind of blocked her path and said something to her about her presentation. She criticized her presentation, and literally it was like watching somebody's joy bubble get popped. And the speaker, her name was Gina, ended up collapsing in tears and running off to the ladies' room. And of course, that caused a little bit of a challenge to the people who were standing at the back of the room waiting for her, who wanted to find out more about her work, who wanted to maybe do business with her, who were really enthusiastic about the presentation that she had made, and she's off hiding in the bathroom crying. And part of it is because at that point in her journey, she really didn't have clarity around where she began and ended, to the point that she would be able to stand in her power and say, receive whatever criticism this person had to offer and just let it slide right off of her. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the second piece that really needs to happen, is that you need to be able to have boundaries and be in integrity to the point where if somebody's going to be critical to you, you can just let that slide right off of you, or so that you know really where you stand in terms of how you're going to express yourself. And you're not pulling in other people's information and trying to filter it through and express it as if it was yours.
Right.
So the third key is really expressing yourself and being able to freely express your unique gift, your unique truth. And a lot of times we are not able to do that because of our cultural conditioning, because of some of these archetypal things that I was talking about being a messenger, about, all of these messengers who've been out there, who have been either persecuted, prosecuted, or executed for bringing through this message of peace and joy and love and harmony and hope. All of those things are causes that keep us from speaking our unique truth. And one of the pieces that I teach in my deeper work with people is to help to express what it is that you are here to bring through in the most uncensored way possible. And when we allow ourselves to open up to fully expressing ourselves and fully expressing our unique truth, and we get it all out on the table, then we can refine that in a way that allows us to express our message in a way that it can be received by people. And one of the things that I see in a lot of messengers is that they get so excited about the message that they have to share, and it's been held in for so long that once the floodgates open, it's like it's all over the place. The message is all over the place, and it's so overwhelming for the audience that the audience ends up being overfull and can't receive any more. And then there's no space for you to build a relationship with the audience. There's no space for you to expand and explore the possibility of going further with one another when you give too much, when you put too much out there. And so part of the work is really learning how to regulate your own flow in a way that serves the people that you're here to serve, but still leaves a space for more to be expressed, for more to be explored, for more to be discovered in a deeper relationship. It's kind of like when we step into a space where we're becoming a messenger and where we are wanting to serve the world in a bigger way, it's on us. It's really our job to take the material that we've been gifted with and break it into bite-sized pieces and give our audience tapas. We want to give the audience tapas. We don't want to overfill them to the point where they can't really absorb any more of the information. We want to build a relationship with the people that we're here to serve that's a long-term relationship. We don't want to just go out on a ton of dates with a whole bunch of different people. We want to find that beautiful, sweet spot where we are serving and we are leaving room for deeper service to happen. And part of the work is learning how to regulate the flow of what it is that we have to express. I mean, I could spend thousands of hours sharing the gifts that I have to share. Today, we have about an hour. I can't possibly serve the people in this audience with everything that I have to serve. I can serve you with some tidbits and hints and suggestions today, and I can maybe touch on the areas today where you might be struggling in expressing yourself, in sharing your gifts, in feeling safe speaking. But I can't give you everything that I have to give you in a short presentation. Does that make sense?
Yeah, well, because obviously then you won't necessarily be able to fully connect with the people that are listening. It's a little bit too scattered for people to be able to latch onto all the ideas, we'll say.
Exactly. So a big piece of the work for a messenger is really to condense it into really beautiful bite-sized pieces that allow the audience to identify themselves if they have a challenge, right? I'm going to use myself as an example because it's perfect modeling, right? My intention is for those of you in the audience who would identify yourself as somebody who has a challenge with speaking and who is a messenger, to notice, are any of these issues things that you're facing? Are you suppressing your truth? Do you share so voluminously that people end up having their eyes rolling back in the back of their head because they've received so much? They're overfull, right? Do you feel like you can stand in your power if somebody comes up to you and has a critical thing to say to you about your message? You know, I think there are some messengers out there, Chantele, that have been activated with some really, really powerful, potent messages of change. So whenever you are bringing through a new idea or a new thought, you are going to come up against an existing paradigm, an existing structure that's going to be resistant to receiving that new idea. And so you've got to be able to stand powerfully and be confident in what it is that you have to share. So if there are those of you who are in this audience who are feeling like, oh my God, I have such a big message to share and I'm freaked out even thinking about it, or I'm overwhelmed thinking about it, or the thought of getting up on a stage makes me want to throw up, or I've been on a stage and it's been a bad experience, or I was taught to be seen and not heard as a child, or any of those things, then, you know, hopefully what I'm offering today is going to give you some illumination around what might be your challenge in moving forward and gaining momentum in your life and your business. And hopefully it will also help you to see that you probably could use deeper help than just this talk, right?
Mm-hmm. Also, a lot of people have huge concerns about money. What do you find is the biggest challenge you see people facing who have a big message, you know, when it comes to money? Like, what challenges do you see them having?
Well, a couple things happen around the money piece, Chantele. First of all, I see people who don't feel safe or powerful or deserving exchanging their message for money. And so I have a lot of colleagues. I've seen a lot of people in social media. I've seen a lot of really heartfelt, wonderful people who really feel that they want to help. They so want to help. And they are doing whatever they can to get themselves set up to help, and they're spending all kinds of money doing it, and then they're not receiving in return because they are afraid to speak up and ask for money. So it does go back to this speaking thing. You have to feel safe speaking before you are going to feel safe speaking and asking for money. And if you're going to be in a business, you absolutely need to ask for money in order to keep your business going. I mean, money is the reason, you know, you're in business, is to create money. Unless you're a philanthropist, unless you have so much money that you don't need to create money, the vast majority of people who have a message, who are here to serve in a bigger way, they need to create a mode of exchange for their message. And they need to actually value what they have to offer in terms of their deeper, larger, wider message. So, for example, today, this is a complimentary talk, right? But to go deeper and receive more information, I need to be clear enough and confident enough and empowered enough to be able to say, here's what we've done today, and there's so much more, and this is the money exchange that I'm going to ask for you to be able to receive the so much more, right?
Of course.
And if I don't feel safe asking for that, if I don't feel safe speaking about money, if I don't feel empowered speaking about money, then sooner or later, I'll either run out of money because I'm self-funding getting my message out into the world, or I will, I will end up collapsing because there won't be a business. There is no business. It's really just a hobby. If you're not exchanging money, then you're not in business. You have a hobby. So it's really important to also realize that the more money you are able to create by sharing your message, the more you can bring that money into your business, and it will allow you to fund the activities that will help you to create even more to serve even more people. So whenever I bring money into my business, I know that I can then expand my reach. I can build more products or services. I can hire people. I can invest in things like sponsorships or having events or all kinds of things that will let me get my message out to even more people. So when we reframe our relationship with money, to see it as like the gas, it's like the fuel that runs our business. And when we are able to speak up and ask for money, then our message gets served in a much higher way as well. We are able to expand our reach to more people. We're able to package our message in different ways that allow people to receive it in the various bite-sized or bigger pieces that we can offer it. So like I was saying earlier, when we're having a short conversation like today, it's like tapas. But then we package up an entree or we package up a dessert, right? And we can, the more money we create, the more we can use that money to create more, to serve more. So it's just like this beautiful upward spiral that happens. And if you don't feel safe speaking, then you're really going to have problems asking for money. And there's so many people that have such a great gift to give to the world, and the only reason they're not out there giving it is because they haven't figured out how to manage this opening up their voice and feeling safe speaking and asking for money piece.
For you, though, personally, was there maybe a single most important message that you sent to the universe when you were stuck in actually getting your own message out to the world?
I do have that. I do have that one thing that was a really big piece for me. And so I think we send messages in a number of ways. I'm sharing a verbal message today, but I also send messages out when I invest. When I make an investment, I am sending a message out to the universe that says, yes, I'm worth it. So as I've gone along on my journey, one of the things that I've discovered is that my message has asked for me to step into learning and growing. And I've learned and grown through investing with mentors. There's, a ton of people who are out there who are really beautifully qualified to serve you in many, many ways. I'm here to serve today to help people feel safe speaking. There are people who are out there to serve in other ways. There are people who are out there to serve to get more traffic to your website. There are people who are there to serve to help you get your message to more people like you're doing today for me, Chantele. Thank you very much for helping me to get my message to more people. So there are people who are out there to serve in so many different ways. And when you are growing as a messenger, when you are growing as a person, and when you're growing professionally, part of what the universe will ask for you to do is to step into your next level and to find those areas of growth that you have. And when you find those areas of growth, then the universe will send you some answers to that prayer. So if you've been praying for help with feeling safe speaking, I may just be the answer to your prayers today. And in order for you to send a message to the universe that says, I hear you and I'm really ready to step forward and I'm really ready to expand myself and grow in this area, then you make an investment. And that's what I did. I mean, I spent over the last 4 years as I've built my business, I left real estate and then I had the spiritual awakening and then I ended up online. In 2008, I started online. And in the last 5 years, I've invested again and again and again and again in my business in those areas where I needed support, in those areas where I needed help. And I've also invested in my personal side of things, you know, in relationships where I had challenges. I've invested to get help personally. So I think the biggest message we can send to the universe is putting our money where our mouth is, quite literally. When we have prayed for a solution and the solution is in front of us, we need to say yes to the universe and invest in that solution. So that is, I would say, one of the big things that I have done in my journey that has helped me to move to the next level every time, is I've prayed for help. When the help is put in front of me, I've made the investment.
Do you have any final words of wisdom, or I guess tapas, as you'd prefer to call it, for our audience today?
Sure. I do have some tapas for the audience today. So the first thing I want to offer today is that if you are called, it's not something to be afraid of, but it may stir fear up in you. It's not something to be afraid of, to be called. You wouldn't be called if your spirit wasn't going to offer to you all that you needed to be able to answer that calling. So it's not something to be afraid of, to be called to be a messenger, to be called to speak. It will stir up your fears. And as your fears get stirred up, it's important to follow what I call the 5 eyes of the wise. And the 5 eyes of the wise, I already spoke about one of them, and that's investing. So when the fear gets stirred up in you, you need to either look at that inner work that needs to happen, that spiritual work, that internal work that needs to happen, or the practical pieces that need to happen, because I think it's both and. I feel in my business, I like to serve as a bridge between the spiritual and the practical. And so I feel like it's important for people to invest in the spiritual as well as the practical mentorship and guidance that is going to help you to overcome the fears and to step into the vision of who you know you can be. So that's one of the eyes. The next eye of the wise is, once you've invested, is you really need to immerse yourself in what it is that you've invested in. You need to go deep. You need to really allow yourself the space and the time to get that help that you're looking for. So if it means that you need to, set aside 6 or 10 or 12 or 15 hours to go through and listen to some audio recordings or read some documentation or have a conversation with a mentor or coach, if it means you need to set some of that time aside in your life, then that's what you need to do. You need to create that time and space so that you can immerse yourself in the work that will allow you to make the shift that you want to make. And once you've immersed yourself, then you need to integrate that. You need to integrate all of that work with what you already know and what you already have in place in your life. And you need to implement what you've learned. You really need to put it into action. So whatever you learn, whether it's spiritual practices or whether it's practical step-by-step things to do, you've got to do them. You've got to do the spiritual practices. You've got to do the implementation. It's not like a magical wand is going to come by and go poof, all of a sudden everything is great for you. You've got to take action. You've got to co-create in your own life the results that you are looking to achieve.
I have a question just coming from myself. I feel that I'm always overwhelmed by the different avenues that I could maybe even take to pursue this. And do you have any maybe advice for somebody that is a little bit too scattered and really would like to maybe figure out what would be the best calling or best message to start with?
Yeah, I absolutely do. And so one of the things I want to say is I actually have two things to offer into this. First is that it is an evolving journey. So I'm going to invite you to just give yourself a break, right? Just give yourself a break and just know that you are evolving. You are growing. You are expanding. And you do have a million, probably a gazillion different skills and talents that you could bring together in some beautiful way. So the first thing is give yourself a break. The second thing that I want to say is, and this goes right back to what I was talking about earlier in our 3 keys that I offered to you today about getting grounded, having clear boundaries, and expressing yourself sound, ground-bound sound, which I teach in this home study course, Feel Safe Speaking. One of the things that is going to be important for you is to focus on that bound piece. You know, where do I begin and end, and how do I want to energize my efforts and my activities? Because what happens when we get overwhelmed is we scatter our energy all over the place. And when we scatter our energy all over the place, it can be really challenging in a number of ways. First of all, we can have difficulty connecting with the audience that we're here to serve. Secondly, we can have difficulty getting enough momentum behind any one particular project that it actually starts to monetize. So that can be a challenge. When we aren't monetizing because we've scattered our energies in too many different directions, then we can get discouraged and frustrated. And it's super important to allow yourself this expression time, right, to get it all out there so that you can really see what is it that I have to offer and where do I find the most juice? Where do I find the most juice personally? What gives me the most juice financially? Because if you are in a business, you're in a business. The business has to make money. If it's not making money, there's a couple of things happening. Either you're spread too thin and nothing has any foundation under it, or you're not asking for money, or you are doing something that's not giving you personal juice, and so you're not coming at it with all of your heart, right? Or you are just not making a connection with the audience because you're ungrounded, and the audience can't pinpoint where you stand, right? As a messenger, it's your job to stand. You're like a beacon, and the audience can see you and say, oh my goodness, she's the beacon for, I don't know, healthcare or whatever it is. She's the beacon for education reform. He's the beacon for optimism, or he's the beacon for big ticket sales, or whatever it is, right? Your audience can't find you if you don't settle and take a stand somewhere. So for me, my stand is I'm here to empower messengers. And that allows me to be a beacon, and everything under that umbrella, Feel Safe Speaking is part of that umbrella, right? Under that umbrella. When a messenger feels safe speaking, they are now empowered. Make sense?
Oh, yeah, you totally put that right into perspective for me. It makes complete 100% sense. Amethyst, we only have about 12 minutes left today. Do you have maybe any exercises that would be good to share with the listeners right now?
So here's a good exercise. Let's all take a nice deep breath. Take a nice deep cleansing breath. And pause in our excitement to share our message. So one of the most powerful things that a messenger can do is play with silence. When I leave a nice, big, wide, open space, you can start to swallow and digest some of the tapas that I've just given you. And you can decide whether you're still hungry for more. So learning how to balance the outflow. This goes right back to the conversation we were having earlier about expressing yourself. Learning how to balance the outflow with sacred silence gives your audience time to come to their own conclusions. So the question that some of the people in the audience might have for themselves right now is, do I need help in this area? So I'm going to ask you all to just use this time as an exercise. Maybe if you have a piece of paper or a pen, and if you don't, just allow yourself to go into the stillness and say, do I need help feeling safe speaking? Do I need help getting grounded in my own truth? Do I need help in clearing some of the chaos and clutter and overwhelm that I've created in my own life? One thing I've noticed, I had actually a new client that just came on to work with me today, and she was in a space of confusion. And here's the truth. There are so many people out there that are working on their businesses, and they're doing this and that and the other thing, and it looks like they're being productive, but they aren't really even serving anyone because they're lost in the fog of confusion and overwhelm and scatteredness. So is it time for you to just distill down to the core what it is you're here to share so that you can make the connection with the people who are praying for you, who are calling for you to serve them? Can you crystallize into a distinct, unique message that you can feel great speaking about when you go out into the world, and that serves people? And if you need help with this, who is the right help for you? Because there's lots of people out there who are serving. I'm one of many. I love to serve. I love to serve messengers. Not everybody in the audience is going to fit with my frequency. They're not all going to fit with what I'm offering. They're not all going to fit with the message that I'm bringing through. Not everybody in this audience is going to be a fit, but there are going to be people who are in this audience who can answer the question, is it a right fit for me to move forward and get some help in this area, get some mentorship in this area, get some support in this area so that I can really express myself more powerfully, and I can share my message, and I can be in a joyful space, and I can make money doing it. Wouldn't that be nice?
Wouldn't it be nice?
Let's make some money doing this.
Also really a little bit curious about what is actually really possible for the people that are listening here today. I mean, you've told a little bit about like how your work has helped some people, but do you have any maybe specific like amazing stories that can really inspire us?
Sure. Love to share some amazing stories. Well, I told you about one client who increased their revenues by 300%. I have another client that I worked with, and I helped her more specifically with the bound piece, but I helped her with that piece, and she was able to double her 7-figure business. 7 figures is over $1 million.
Yeah, I'm like, my mouth is hanging open right now.
So she was able to double her 7-figure business. And I think probably the best story I can tell is probably my own. I spend most of my days in my pajamas. Or today I got dressed up because I was going to be serving you. Today I got dressed up, so I'm wearing my yoga pants because I'm going to be serving you today. So I'm in my speaking outfit. I love what I do, Chantele. I serve people around the world with my message. I have built a multi-6-figure business, created $500,000 in under 3 years in my pajamas. So the other piece of this feel safe speaking that I want to really bring to the table and share with people is we live in a time where we are so empowered to create money and to create a life of our dreams, and we don't even need to leave the house. And speaking has been the primary tool that I have used to build a $500,000 business in under 3 years in my pajamas. And the reason that I wanted to create this kind of business was because I was a single mom. When I started out on the internet, I was a single mom with a 14-year-old boy. And I was not leaving the house. I wanted to be here for him as he went through his adolescent years. I wanted to be the mom who could have cookies and milk on the counter that I made, homemade, in the oven. I wanted to be the mom who showed up at the football games with the big lasagna. I wanted to be able to get my laundry done at the same time that I was serving a client. I wanted to be energy efficient, and I wanted to serve. And so speaking has been the primary tool that I have used to get my work out into the world. And I'll tell you something, Chantele, there is no better way to make a connection with people than for them to hear the sound of your voice and to feel the energy that comes through when you speak. There's lots of different ways to attract clients, but I'll tell you something. I'm much more attracted to somebody who I've heard, who I've connected with their story, who I have been able to hear the vibration that comes through their voice than I am by something that's been put in writing. Wouldn't you agree that's true?
Of course, being able to connect with people's energy is just, it's instantaneous. You know, you're not imagining anything. You're not, putting ideas in your head as to what this person is like. You actually get, it's an unseen, and you can't even really, detect exactly what it is, like a feeling that you get when you actually are connecting and communicating with someone.
Yeah, it's intangible, but you know it.
It's there, very real.
You know when someone's heart is open to you and really wants to serve you. You can feel it when somebody's funky. You can feel it. You can feel the funky chicken, right?
I really love being able to help people as you do. It's, your life mission right now, and being able to take control of their lives. There's so much more that we can learn from you, Amethyst. So I have asked Amethyst to create a special offer for everyone who is listening to this call. I highly encourage you to go to Amethyst's special offer right now and experience, the entree for yourself. Amethyst, could you let everybody know what they're going to find?
I sure can. So I have developed a full-on home study program for people that is called Feel Safe Speaking. How cool is that? And what we do in this program, I co-created this with a partner. He and I are not partners anymore, but the program is fabulous because we created it from a space of really wanting to serve messengers and empower messengers, and he is just as powerful as I am. And so don't be surprised when you hear that it's not just me. It's me and Michael, who was my old partner. We co-created this 5-phase journey. And on the journey, you're going to learn how to unplug from the triangle of disempowerment that says that you're not good enough, big enough, wise enough, powerful enough, together enough to serve as a messenger and answer that calling. In this second phase, we're going to really get into the grounding piece that we talked about earlier. In the third phase is where we really step into that boundary stuff and help you to get clear on your boundaries, not to be in fear of being criticized or judged, not taking other people's stuff on, really building impeccability and integrity in who you are as a person and as a messenger. The fourth phase of the journey is where we help you to really get clear in expressing yourself and letting yourself be heard. And then there's an initiatory rite of passage in the fifth phase of the journey where you really step into this role, because it is a role that you're playing. You're going to step in and embrace the role of the empowered messenger. And an empowered messenger is someone who can stand in their truth, express their truth, and exchange money for their truth. And so it's really, really a powerful course. It is a home study. It is all audio with a workbook. It will not come to you in the mail. So please be advised. This is all MP3 downloads. We have beautiful pictures on here that look like CDs, but you're not going to get anything in the mail. So I want to make sure that's clear, because every now and then we have people contact us and say, I haven't gotten my thing in the mail yet. You're going to get it in your email, because I like to be environmentally friendly. So in addition to all of this internal work that you're going to be doing through the Feel Safe Speaking, the main part of the package, we also have some additional massive, wonderful bonuses for you that are incorporated in this package, including the Hex Pack of Prayers. And these are the 6 prayers that we offer to you that you can utilize before you get up to speak, whether it's a one-on-one conversation or whether it's a one-to-many conversation. You can use these prayers to help you get aligned and grounded and feel excited about sharing your message. We also have our Get Booked toolkit for speakers. This is the 27 hot tips to getting booked on virtual stages and virtual speaking gigs. And then I also am including in this one of my original products that I made before I had a partner, which is the Self-Healing Speaking Right Up workshop. And that's an additional 4 or 5 hours of audio that takes you through a self-healing process to even deepen more powerfully your connection to your throat chakra and your throat energy center, so that anything that might be in the way of you getting out there and speaking your truth and really successfully delivering your message to the world, anything that would prevent you from that is just eradicated.
Sounds amazing. Well, you've definitely whet my appetite, so to speak.
Awesome. Well, and one of the things that I want to share with you, too, is I believe for your community, we have offered it at a significant reduction from our normal price, our normal investment that we ask people to make. So I'm really just delighted and excited to be able to offer this to as many people who are ready to step forward and say yes to themselves, and yes, they're worth it, and yes, they're ready to make that shift that's going to let them get their message out into the world, because I really believe there are a lot of people out there praying for the solution you have to offer. And I would like to be your solution to the prayers that you've been praying, so that you can answer the prayers of the people who are praying for you. When I am that kind of solution, it's like a pebble in the pond effect. And I know that when you say yes to yourself and invest in yourself to do this work, to get your message out to the world, to more people, to feel safe speaking, to be able to express yourself clearly and powerfully, that you're going to just make a difference in the people you're here to serve. And so I'm serving your people through you.
Thank you. Amethyst, do you have a final thought that you'd like to share before we go?
I do have a final thought that I'd like to share, and that is I want everyone who's listening to understand that you came to this call because at some level you were called to listen today, and that you are absolutely worth investing in. You and your message are absolutely worth investing in. Spirit would not bring you to it if Spirit wasn't going to be able to take you through it.
So true. Thank you so much for sharing with us today, Amethyst. I really appreciate you and all the work that you are doing for me and everybody else on this call. And I look forward to our next call together.
I do too, Chantele. Thank you so much. It was awesome being with you, and I appreciate the platform. And thank you so much for what you're doing to bring messengers out to the world.
Yay. Thank you so much. Take care.
Bye-bye.